Well, hello there, and welcome once again to another edition of Johnny Davis Live. We're here again on this 11/7, 2025. A little bit more of a serious topic here today I think it's just time to discuss, to have a respectful and intelligent discussion about some of the things that are going on in combat sports, in particular with boxing and Muay Thai and kickboxing, and even MMA. And today, I hope to just have an open discussion about an organization in particular that the way they're doing things is kind of threatening all of amateur sports. And I didn't realize it was this deep, to be honest with you. And I've been having several conversations with different people who are involved in the organization, as well as those outside of the organizations. And frankly, a lot of people are just nervous about saying anything. They've been dealing with the same thing for many, many years. And they're just comfortable with the idea that whatever they are doing and what's ever happening to them, that it's just okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay. I think there's got to be a thing about fair play and fair competition. In fact, there are laws that actually talk about that and refer to that. I just want to say about me, because I want to take a few minutes here, and I'm going to go through several things here today, is that I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for the sport of Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing, to be honest with you. We're not trying to hurt anyone. We are trying to help the sport. The sport of boxing, in fact, has been kind of fledgling. It's been having problems, with keeping fighters and the longevity. And a lot of fighters are having concussion issues and, some other problems. Our goal and what we've created with the PBSC in particular, Point Boxing Sparring Circuit, is to give them a step upwards in a more safe and more skilled manner. And we've been doing this for some years now, and you know what? It is working. So many boxers are coming to our events right now, and they are enjoying the process. And most of them say the same thing. I wish we would have had something like this when I was boxing. Hundreds of boxers are starting to attend these events. We want them to be safe. We want them to be better than perhaps boxers in the past. Maybe not take as much punishment. Concussions are real. If your first experience has to be in a full contact arena, which is what USA Boxing does, is that really safe? Is that the safest thing and the safest process that we can do? I don't think so. This is why I created the PBSC, and now with my partner, Rafael Mendoza, to take this program across the country in the fall. We're also in Mexico, to give boxers a better chance and opportunity to build up their skills first before they go into a full contact arena and get hurt. We have a proven record with our ICAP, PKB, and PMT programs, Point Muay Thai and Point Kickboxing. Now the largest organization in the country, I would say, that's incubated tens of thousands of fighters, right, to better their skills. Some goes into the amateurs, some gone into pros, some fight for huge organizations out there. We've been doing this right at 28 years. And fighters have gotten better. Clubs have gotten more students. People who are in this as a business, instructors, their business is better because of this program. Or programs like this, of course, we've been copycatted, which is okay. That's part of it. It's part of it. You can't keep it all yourself. So the semi-contact idea works. It works. And so we created one for boxing. So, and I'm going to go into how all of this got started. So I want to be clear. I respect USA Boxing. I respect their process. I respect all the things that they've done for the sport of boxing. I do. So I don't want anyone up there to get all disheveled about, oh, Johnny Davis trying to disrespect USA Boxing. Johnny Davis is not trying to disrespect USA Boxing. In fact, because I love boxing so much, I am trying to enhance the program. So anything that I'm trying to do is trying to help out the boxers. The trainers are telling me that it's helping their fighters. The trainers are telling me that it's helping their gyms. The fighters are telling me that it's helping them out. The parents are telling me that they love the program because it is something that is helping their fighters and keeping them safe before they actually get into the ring. What is wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It should be something that an organization like USA Boxing should have ushered in, should have welcomed. So before I go into what's next, I wish USA Boxing all the best. What we're doing with our sparring is something that's going to help you, not harm you. So sending letters to your members to tell them not to spar, or fight in any other organization or any other fight sport, including MMA, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. Those are words, those not words, but that is specifically written. It also goes as far to say our organization in particular, IKF, I'm assuming they're putting it all the Muay Thai, kickboxing, the PBSC all together, although that is separate. It literally says that, and I'll show you the document in here in just a second of exactly what it says. So let me just kind of just go into how this all got started. The way this got started, and by the way, if you want to come on, you want to talk about it, whatever, you can take that link and come on. The way this got started was that, well, I started the PBSC some years ago, about 15 years ago. That was a great program. I got involved then with the USA, not with USA Boxing, but I knew USA Boxing existed. The program was going so good. We were getting so many people complimenting. I thought, whoa, I have a great idea. Why don't I contact USA Boxing and have them endorse this program? What a great idea, right? So that's what I did. I sent a letter. Well, let me go back. I actually met the director a couple times. One at one event that we were working together on, trying to fight this blood rule and all that in Florida. Another time at the ABC. And I thought it was fine, it's a cordial meeting. Afterwards, I sent this letter and I said, hey, got this great idea. I think that you guys should have a program like this. We've been doing it, PBSC, da-da-da-da. It's great. People love it. We would love to have your endorsement and work with you, USA Boxing, to put this across the country. That was my letter, a nice, respectful, conciliatory letter to work together. What I got back was nothing, number one. But what I did get was a cease and desist letter to this particular state, and I'll just say it in California, to say, hey, what Johnny Davis is doing to PBSC had a bunch of lies in it, said we were not insured, which is not true, that we don't have trained officials, which is not true, right? And that we were doing all of, like a smoker. That's not true. And they tried to order this commissioner to stop us from sparring. Okay? Thankful to the commissioner, who's been around a long time, one of the probably top commissioners in the country, said, no, what they're doing is sparring. What you're doing, ideally, is to win a gold medal for the Olympics in full contact in the ring boxing. Two totally different things. So he set the standard, and I appreciate that because he's absolutely correct. So this is how it started. The cease and desist letter was sent, as opposed to accepting our letter and our request to join forces together. Instead, they sent a cease and desist letter for sparring. That makes no sense. So there's a mentality that's out there, like maybe a monopoly, and maybe some things that I think need to be made clear. And I'm trying to do that today. And I'm not trying to tick people off. I'm simply trying to say I want fairness. Because when you tell people that they cannot participate in our events, our safe, not only semi-contact, but even full contact, all our events are insured, they have ambulance, they have doctors, they have all of that. Why would you tell them not to compete? I got something that I want to ask and I want to say later in this podcast here, that I think that's an error, a bigger error that's being made, because you're lumping everybody into one pot. So I will deal with that later. But let me just say this. USA boxers are welcome not to participate in our events. If they feel threatened and that they are going to be penalized or there's going to be some retribution, I would say do not compete. Because right now I cannot control what USA Boxing does to its members. But what I can say is what's right and not right. Everybody should have the opportunity to participate. This is like me saying, as one of the heads of IKF and the head of IKF, PKB, PMT, that you cannot go and compete in another event that's semi-contact. I can't do that. That would be unfair for me. It's an overreach for me to do that. And a lot of people probably leave us and probably say, forget you. Well, this is what's happening in USA Boxing. We, on other, go where you want to go. Get the experience you want to get. Now, we do talk about smokers and stuff like that. But we will get into that a little bit later. But I don't think it's right for an organization to be able to tell its members not to be able to compete. But now when I read a little bit deeper into why they're saying, and I'll get into that a little bit later here, into the rationale of why they're doing it, some of it makes sense. Okay? Some of it. It makes sense. I get it. However, they need to look into organizations and seeing what they have going on. Do they have certain protocols in place that might satisfy them allowing other people to participate in other events? Because I understand the rationale. I see it. And I'm going to go over that in just a minute so that perhaps you guys can kind of see what I mean. Let me say this. In USA Boxing's approach to this as well, they say that you cannot participate if you're a member of USA Boxing, that you cannot participate in any tribal event or state event or on a military base. I mean, those are areas where normally, you can go outside of the state's commission. But what they're saying is that, hey, states, you are not even good enough to put on an event. Your protocols are not even safe enough for us to put our fighters, our precious boxers in your event. They're saying nobody's good enough. So commissioners who are endorsing this, what they're telling you is that they will not even recognize you doing any boxing. That's a problem. Who gave that authority to USA Boxing? The authority, as I understand it, is not to have a monopoly on the whole sport of boxing. The authority is supposed to be to get fighters, the best across the country, boxers in particular, find out who they are through your tournaments and things that you're hosting, and then choose an Olympic team to go and compete against other countries to win a gold medal. How did it get to this? That you will not even recognize a state or tribal commission. You will not recognize their authority to regulate a boxing match. Something is wrong with that. How do we come to this? This does not hurt USA Boxing because, again, when I say this, meaning this idea to be a monopoly, to say nobody else can do boxing. First of all, how did that happen? Secondly, what is it about boxing that makes it so much different and unique than MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai? How does one organization get to say that, not only to regular promoters, but to the states? Where does that authority? I want someone to show me that in writing where that authority comes from, because I bet you probably can't do it. These commissioners have somehow, respectfully, bought into the idea that nobody else can do an amateur boxing match. That can't be true, because that would be a monopoly. And those are supposed to be illegal in this country. What is so unique about the sport of boxing that nobody else can do it but one group? That's like me saying, hey, we're IKF. There's nobody else can do Muay Thai or kickboxing in the country but us. How would you feel about that? I bet you if that was a rule somewhere, you guys would turn it upside down. You would turn this country upside down. So why are we allowing that with the sport of boxing? What is it about these boxers that we feel that we have to put them in a box like that and treat them as though they don't have the same citizenship as other people? What is that mentality that says that no one else can do an amateur boxing match without USA Boxing in the country? How is that even fair? And who made that rule? I don't think there is a rule. I think there's been an intentional process at these bigger meetings to go there and to manipulate some of the newer commissions and tell them that, hey, this is what we do. And I believe that there's a true misunderstanding of those rules and those guidelines. I believe that. And so this is what I'm fighting for now in order to try to change this idea so that we can begin to move. Somebody, if we don't allow these amateur boxers more opportunities to showcase their skills, more opportunity to be able to go to other events, are we really going to be that competitive in this country? Okay. So let me go a little bit into their rationale. Okay. Because I think it is important that you guys understand the rationale. And I quickly want to say, hey, Seuss, we've already done that show that you were supposed to be on. I think you had this time mixed up. And but feel free to stay on. And maybe we can talk to you at the end. And but that's okay. That's okay. I just wanted to say that to one of my guests that was supposed to be on the earlier show. So one of the rationales that they have is that the events are unsanctioned, that they're unapproved, and that they have lower standards. This is their letter, and I can show you that letter. Okay, so here lies the problem. When you say unsanctioned, do you mean unsanctioned by USA Boxing? Or do you mean unsanctioned by like a sanctioning body like us, or our IAB program, or our PBSC, which is semi-contact, which you shouldn't regulate anyway? Or is it not by the state commission or whatever tribal or whatever the case? When you say unsanctioned, what do you mean? Now, if you mean a smoker that doesn't have the proper regulations, that don't have ambulance, they don't have insurance and all that, let me just agree with you, USA Boxing. I do not endorse or care for smokers. In fact, I'm adamantly against them. So I agree with you that your fighters, no fighter should be participating in an unsanctioned event, in an event, particular event that doesn't have the proper regs and the medical and insurance and things like that. I agree. So let's be clear that I agree with USA Boxing on that. However, if it is sanctioned, what sanctioning is and what state commissions do, they are regulators that mandate certain things are there. You know, certain glove sizes, weight classes, rule styles, not so much, maybe even the rule styles, but gear, certain gear, again, is mandatory. That you must have certain exams and medicals. All of those things are regulated and done by commissions and sanctioning bodies. That's mandatory. So when you say unsanctioned, what do you really mean? Do you mean it not being sanctioned by USA Boxing? Which again would be a problem because that's monopolizing the sport. The other thing, unapproved. Again, who are we saying that needs to approve it? Because the authority are the commissions for the state. Sanctioning bodies in some states, they allow us to go in and be the authority to approve an event. So do you mean an event not approved by USA Boxing? So if that's the case, that's a whole nother problem again, because now you're again monopolizing the entire sport of amateur boxing. And that should not be allowed. So any recognized sanctioning body and any commission should be able to put on an amateur boxing match. The other part you talk about is having lower standards. Now that's a tricky one for me, and it's really concerning to me as well, to be honest. When you say lower standards, because I know that we have high standards in IKF. There are some other organizations out there I would assume that have high standards as well. Who's to say, other than the Athletic Commission, what the standards of an event should be? Well, that's what commissions do. They certainly have rules and regulations and guidelines that mandate certain things. And as an IKF organization, I'll speak on our behalf, we certainly have all of those things in place. And then some, by the way. Some of them have insurance protocols. We are way above that. Some of them have other certain protocols. We do even more. So when you say have lower standards, what do you really mean? If I'm not mistaken, it seemed like it was not that long ago that someone from USA Boxing presented to the commission. I want to get this right. I'm not 100% whether it was not having an ambulance there or was not having ALS at their events, advanced life support. So I don't know which one. It's one or the other or both. Well, with us, we would not have a full contact event without an ambulance, period. That's our standard. So when you talk about lower standards, what are we talking about? And who are we talking about? And what is the standard for low standard? Because our standards and our organization, that's what I'm here for. I'm an advocate for IKF, obviously, and our fight sports. But I know what we do. You also noted in that same letter, and by the way, just you might can't read it. I'll drop it on the screen. It's small, but you might can't read it. But it also talks about things which I also agree with. I also agree with the fact that they say that a lot of these sanctioning bodies do not have proper protocols for reporting knockouts and injuries. They are 100% correct. See? We don't disagree. We actually probably have more in common than not, like most of us Americans too, who are fighting right now over things. We probably have more in common, but I won't go there. I agree with USA Boxing that there should be a better reporting process. And in fact, one of the things that I presented when I talked with the ABC some years ago, I think it was at the Bellagio or somewhere in Las Vegas. I was one of the speakers. And I talked about reporting. And I talked about how people can get knocked out in one event, nobody know about it, and go and get knocked out in another event. And then that causes potential liability on that promotion. Well, yes, they are correct. USA Boxing is correct that if somebody gets knocked out in an event and is nowhere to be found, that same person can go and fight on USA Boxing and get knocked out, and now USA Boxing is liable. That's one of my biggest complaints as well, because I feel the same way. That's why I don't want our fighters doing smokers. I can't stop them, but I don't want them doing smokers. But if they go out there and they get hurt or injured, and then they come on our show and get injured again, that could be huge. We actually had something like that happen many years ago, and it turned out really bad. Someone got hurt earlier in the gym, wasn't reported, came to our event and got hurt worse, to the max worst. So they are correct again in that area where the reporting is not good. However, when I came on board with IKF, I've always been on board with IKF, let's be very clear, okay? But when we lost our CEO, Mr. Steve Foster, and Tony appointed me to work directly with her, and we run the organization together. She and I put together a lot of things. And one of the things that I immediately did was resurface the IKF Fight platform. That IKF Fight platform is a data keeping source for us. Knockouts, suspensions, we have medical suspensions, and we have disciplinary suspensions. Okay? We are serious about it. Even in semi-contact, you get hurt, you're going to be suspended. Full contact, of course. You get knocked out 30, 45 days, 90 indefinitely, that indefinite suspensions. That's what we do. We went so far as to even form a partnership with the BoxRec, which is probably the largest record-keeping organization in the country, for that exact same reason that USA Boxing is saying. USA Boxing is saying, hey, you kickboxing and MMA organizations do not report your stats and results, and that causes a liability. Again, they are 100% correct, and I agree with them. That's why we did what we did with our IKF Fight platform. That's why we connected with BoxRec. We just didn't do our platform. We say, hey, let's go with the big boys. So we got with BoxRec. And now our data is transferred over to BoxRec, where if a promoter has a fighter on his card, they can go there, look up, and see if that fighter is okay to fight by us. That doesn't mean by another organization that they didn't get knocked out or didn't get hurt or didn't get injured. But they will know IKF has cleared these people, or there are no problems. Or do we need to clear somebody? This is what IKF does. Semi and full contact, even our MMA program, across the board. So I think just on the thing about suspensions and the record keeping and all that, that really, truly, USA Boxing need to modify that rule a little bit. And maybe as instead of throwing everyone into one basket, take a look at each group individually. And now they might be mad with me, right, for bringing this out. But I guarantee you what we're doing, the protocols that we are following, when we do our World Classic in Las Vegas, we got the Nevada Commission right there looking at everything we're doing. And we are on top of it. And even Jeff Mullins said we did a good job. We've done a good job. Most states we go to, they say that. Even I think Andy over in California say we do a good job because we are serious about the safety of our fighters. So again, USA Boxing, I agree with you. I think you are correct that our sport across the board needs to have better reporting protocols. And so I'm going to ask you to take another look at what we're doing. Okay, next though, I want to be clear. So the way they have gone about doing this, they have actually threatened the trainers. So ultimately in their letter, they're telling the trainers, hey, trainers, if you take someone to another event, we're going to get you too. Okay. Now, if you see what I just put on the screen, that is actually saying the names of the organization. That's why I feel I'm justified in doing this, because you called our name. You said the IKF along with some other organizations. So when you call our name, what that means is that you are specifically targeting us because of our activity in this country. The largest semi-contact sparring organization in the country for point Muay Thai, point kickboxing, and for point boxing, as well as one of the largest for Muay Thai and kickboxing. So when you say that they cannot compete, and you see it right there, that's with our name on it, you're targeting us. So I'm going to speak out. And that is what I'm doing. The other organizations decide to be quiet and muff about it. That is on them. But what I want you to know, that telling people not to compete in our event is not cool. We don't tell people not to go and compete in USA Boxing. All what we ask is that you give us accurate record reporting so that we can properly match you. If you've done full contact anything anywhere else, we just want to know, so that we won't put a novice fighter in there with some experienced fighter. That's what that's about. And so again, I agree with you. But when you call us out as that, telling all your fighters across the country, and you time it, because you go to our pointboxing.com website and you go there and you see all these people who are planning to compete, and you send the letter to that city. So we know that you're targeting PBSC. Those trainers bring these letters to us. They tell us, hey, this is what USA, or they'll call us and say, hey, man, we're afraid because USA Boxing is threatening to suspend us or fine us or something like that. Well, I'm waiting to see somebody do that because you attended another event. That's going to be something else, in my opinion. I'll leave it at that. That is unacceptable. And no one should be threatened to participate in another event, especially one that's sanctioned, one that's insured, one that has solid rules and regulations. Okay? That's not fair. And I think it's illegal as well. Okay? So we want to make sure, okay, that we stop the nonsense, that we let these competitors compete. If it's sparring, it's sparring. It doesn't count on your record. If it's full contact, it competes. It does count. And you should allow these fighters to increase their skills. If you want a better chance at winning gold, I don't think you can do enough events across the country. And what these fighters really need to get those skills of head movement and the confidence that they really need, they can get that in our sparring programs, and they can get that with commissions across the country being able, and they are able, they just need to do it, to have amateur boxing. Along with your tournaments and events that you're doing, now your fighters are going to get that much more experience. That is a good thing for you, and it's a good thing for this country. We all want the gold, but we don't feel like that we need to be treating our fighters and our trainers in particular and threatening them with these fines and these penalties for them participating in other events. No organization should do that. We don't do that. Now, do we have something about our representatives, like our referees and judges, working a non-sanctioned event? Yeah, we do. Because that liability can fall back on us. That's I told you earlier. I don't agree with smokers and all that. So we do tell our referees and our, hey, you know what? Refereeing at that event, you better make sure it's insured. If it's like another name, another lettered, a recognized organization. and you want to go work that event, we can have a conversation about it. Okay. But you sure better make sure that they have the proper insurance and have regulations and protocols that's keeping those fighters safe. Because if they are not, what could happen, that attorney goes at everybody. Okay, everybody who's included. And if they see someone from our organization, a part of an unsanctioned or a smoker or something, and they say, wait a minute, aren't those guys recognized with the IKF? They could come. And this is what USA Boxing is afraid of too. And they are correct. They are correct. Now, so I want to be clear here too. We did invite people from USA Boxing to come on the show. Okay, open invitation. I actually talked to some of the representatives. I talked to some of the trainers and some of the promoters even, and they were like, nope, they want to touch it because they were afraid of retribution. So I'm up here talking to myself right now, if you will, and maybe those of you who are listening in, because the people in you are afraid to talk to me. I would love to have Mr. McAtee, the director, on this call. I promise you it will be a respectful conversation, but he would have to answer some questions about why this is and how that is taking place, in particular with the sport of boxing. Why is that? We have to ask. So I want to do a shameless plug here. As our PBSC. The PBSC is a sparring circuit that is semi-contact, no knockouts, 16-ounce gloves, done on a mat, insured, great times, great fun, and making these fights. I heard somebody say, hey, you know what? I'm getting pretty good at these semi-contact events. I'm not ready to go right into the amateurs. That's what it is. See? So if you want to try something different, try PBSC. If you want to start, in my opinion, before you go start trying to knock people out or getting knocked out, give us a try. I promise you, the protocols and things that we have in place, the process and the way we're doing it, the way we're going to work with the gyms and things like that. And again, it is not competition in USA Boxing. They don't, as far as I know, they don't have at least a developed program like this, at least not known. So a program like this is a great place to start. And then, as long as USA Boxing doesn't try to penalize you for being a part of it and then bettering your skills and getting, prepared for full contact, then go into USA Boxing and show your stuff, and you're going to win a gold medal. Watch it. Watch it. Somebody one day, I don't know how old I'm going to be, is going to say, I got my start at the PBSC sparring circuit. And they're going to be putting that gold medal around their neck, and people are going to be so proud. Trust me. And I'll say that to say this. Even though I've been shunned by USA Boxing, I would still be open for a conversation. I would. Me and my VP, Mr. Rafael Mendoza, we would have to be open to at least a conversation. But it's right now, again, we made it an attack on us. So it does make it difficult, but I would still be open to a conversation because I know how great this program is. And it's not that you can't create your own. Maybe you can, but you better make sure you understand it. That's one thing about me. As Raphael and anybody who talks to me, I have a profound understanding of exactly what the PBSC is and what it does. Because I have the history of the ICAP, PKB, PMT, all of the semi-contact program. So I know exactly what this is, and that's why people are loving it. So I'm still open to a conversation with USA Boxing if they want to have it. I am. Otherwise, though, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we would appreciate so much that you don't threaten your competitors to compete in this. Please don't. Take that down. As that thing is on the site right now where you're saying they can't compete with us, take that down. That's nonsense. Because you know what? They're coming anyway. If you're going to start suspending guys for doing sparring, you're going to lose so many members. It is ridiculous because we are growing fast. And all the people are saying it just makes sense. It just makes sense. I have world champion boxers that I talk to say, wow, wish we'd have had that. So collaborate with us if you want to. Let's have a conversation. I'm open for that because we're already getting across the country and people are just saying, hey, and we don't necessarily want that for you. We're not trying to hurt USA in any way, form, or shape. But the amateur boxing, even in the ring, the full contact, that's got to be the next step too, and that needs to be open. It is open to these commissions to do amateur boxing because that's going to help you. Remember the goal, USA Boxing, winning the gold, competing against other countries. Let's get that gold. Let's join forces and give these fighters what they need and what they deserve in a great developmental program that works and is safer for them to go to that next level. Don't get mad at me because, hey, we jumped out there first. We got it going. Don't worry about that. Put the egos in the back pocket. It's going already. And it's great for the sport of boxing. I love boxing, but I hate it when I hear people saying boxing is dying and dying. Maybe has gone down some. Still a great sport. But we have a safer format and a safer process to get to USA Boxing and then to get into the pros. Join us. Let's have a conversation. Don't send a cease and desist letter again after this show. Because I'm saying, hey, we're going to keep going because, some people say, well, USA Boxing, and I've heard this from commissioners, they have attorneys. And we have attorneys too. I don't like to use them. It costs money, right? But we have attorneys too. We don't want to do that. We want to follow the laws of the land and try to do things that is fair and equitable for everyone. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But to say that you have a monopoly on amateur boxing and you restrict your boxers from participating in a semi-contact sparring event is very concerning. It should not only concern me, it should concern all the trainers, the fighters, the parents who probably pay these memberships, as well as the commissioners. It should also concern them. That's not fair. And again, if all of us join forces together, all of us, we can win the gold in this country. And that's the ultimate goal, I thought anyway, for USA Boxing. Now, I want to also bring up this one point, that there was a gentleman who posted something the other day under St. Louis's STL Boxing. And he said that we did not properly understand the letter. Now, let's be clear. The letter that was sent was dated October 30th, 2025. He was talking about, well, no, boxers can fight in other events as long as it's sanctioned and insured. That's what he said. Okay, so the letter was October 30th, guys. That's only how many days? 7 days ago. I don't know where he was quoting from. He said, hey, this is old news. Those are the words he used. This is old news. This has been the way it's been. I don't know what he meant. Well, this has been the way it's been, as in a good way or a bad way. But what I am saying to you is that the letter came. I don't know if it had a signature on whoever from USA Boxing, though, saying that these boxers could not participate in sparring. They could not participate in any other event. Right? That was not USA Boxing. So this person posting that, I don't know who it is because it just says St. Louis Boxing. I don't know who it is. Well, I invited everyone to come on the show. Call me. You can come on right now. I'll send you the link. Whoever that is, I have no idea. People are operating incognito. I'm here open because I want to have a conversation with you about it so that we can make this thing fair for these boxers. Listen. A lot of the people who do the sport of boxing, they are not necessarily wealthy people. Let's call it what it is. A lot of them don't have money. A lot of them don't have the means. That's not a reason, though. It's not a reason to mistreat them and not allow them opportunities. USA Boxing gets grant money. They get donations. I mean, you're supported. And I think people will support you even more if you supported a program like this. I didn't say let your fighters fight in anybody's event. I didn't say that. There's some organizations out here who do not follow proper protocols. They do not. I know this. They are not properly insured. I know this too. They take shortcuts all the time. I know this. I am telling you in IKF, we're not taking shortcuts. We are insured. We follow our regs. We have good, qualified officials that do these events. Some areas we are training people, for sure. We are training people. We're obviously training, that they have to get better in some areas. We know that too. We're not perfect. But what I'm saying is before you throw a blanket like that they can't fight in anybody's event, take a look at us. Take a look at our rules, our regs. Take a look at our suspension protocols, our disciplinary protocols, our medical protocols, all of those things. Look at our IKF Fight platform. That should help you say, well, maybe we should take another look. Board of directors for USA Boxing, maybe we should take another look. Now, and if for some reason you say they still can't fight with IKF, well, then I know it's got to be something else, all right? It's got to be maybe just me, because I know that we have our stuff together. So when you say that, like you said, some of them are unsanctioned, some of them have lower standards and all of that, that is not us. It's not us. So we're hoping that you will certainly take another look and then go from there. I think that as I start to wind down here, because I know I've said a lot, but I just want to be clear about my stance, is that we want you to win. We want you, USA Boxing, and those who are part of the USA Boxing program, we want you to win. And I think not allowing your fighters to participate in sparring that doesn't count on their record, I'm not going to say allowing, but for some reason thinking that a commission cannot have an amateur boxing match is hurting your program. I think it's hurting you across the country. And I'm asking for a change. And I'm more than happy to come and meet with you, your attorneys, whoever you have, to discuss this in more detail. Ultimately, we want to make sure that we are all working together to make the sport of Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, and what MMA, and what other kind of fight sport the people want to do. We want to make sure that our fighters are qualified to compete against other fighters in other countries. We can do this, but we have to work together. And again, I'm throwing out an olive branch that I'm willing to talk with USA Boxing to have them take a closer look at what we're doing, and other organizations obviously can do the same thing. And let's see, can we change that to give these athletes more opportunities and take that barrier of threat away so that they won't feel scared and feel like they're going to be penalized for simply trying to better their skills. That is what I'm asking you. Hey guys, thanks so much for taking the time to watch yet another edition of John